Welcome, everybody. George Veter, Veter Financial, giving you an update here as we begin the third quarter, 2023. First of all, I want to just shout out and say how grateful I am for those of you that are clients or looking at becoming clients and the trust that you have with myself and our program and our staff and the services we provide for people. We never don't feel grateful for that and understand what a sacred trust we have with our clients, and just going to confirm to you that we're worthy of that trust. So you made the right choice, and thank you. As far as the way things look, this is an important week on the calendar. On Wednesday, the Fed will announce policy for July. We're anticipating there's 100% probability among analysts, so it's unanimous, that the Fed will raise 0.25%, even though inflation data is definitely coming our direction. We had our CPI, Consumer Price Index, for June, and our PPI, Producer Price Index, or the wholesale figure. Both of them came in less than expected. And so inflation data keeps moving our direction, making the Fed emboldened that they can stop raising rates sooner rather than later. I think that's fair to say. So we're going to get more information. Most importantly, the language of the Fed will be picked through on Wednesday and after the notes are released. But for most analysts, I think it's fair to say we believe there's going to be 25 basis points, and then we're probably done. If we have some adverse inflation figures later in the summer, there could be room for 25 basis points more, but we're at or near the top, and the pivot moment is coming. As far as the momentum of the economy, it's been phenomenal. Here we have the Dow at over 35,400 points. At our lowest point, we were 29,000 and change back in October, and so it's been an incredible recovery already. Every quarter since October has been positive, and we have more and more momentum. As far as earnings, they've been a bright spot. In January, we had a 72% beat rate on the S&P 500. So 7 out of 10 companies did better than what they had forecasted they would do, not worse. And then for our April quarter, we had a 78% beat rate on the S&P 500. So essentially 8 out of 10 companies did better than what they told us they would do. Now we're real early into the summer quarter here. We started announcing the middle of July, but so far we're over 70% again. So earnings have been much better than people feared with this, rising interest rate environment. The Fed has raised rates 10 times, over 5% since they started raising March of last year. And the economy has continued to expand, which is incredible. So anyway, I'm super optimistic. As far as my crystal ball, here's what I think. I think we're going to get through earnings season on a very positive note. Then we have the Fed meeting, which will create more clarity and will remove some uncertainty on the interest rate environment, which will allow the market to advance further. Then we typically have a quiet spot in August, September. Then we get into October earnings for the third quarter, and the market loves that period of time, and off we go, right to the end. Historically, since World War II, by far on the calendar with the S&P data, December's our best month, November's our second best month, January's our third best month. So that period of time, as investors, we do not want to miss out. I'm going to reiterate to you that where we have to realize where we're at expansion again. We're not contracting. We have rallied out of a bear market. We have technically and definitely feeling-wise entered into a bull market and we're recovering from a bear market. And this is when people make the most money, right? Transitioning from one to the other. If we miss that, our average returns are never going to catch up. So I just implore you to, if you're lacking faith, borrow some of mine. This is one of those special moments in time in transition, and we have this bull market developing. Couldn't be more excited about. So that's the take from this desk. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the psychology of the moment, because this has probably been the most negative period I have professionally gone through in my life, where the voices out there with the growth of social media, everybody's an expert, fear sells, and the negativity is at a level that I never remember it feeling like this. Even in 2008, 2011, 2000 through 2002, 2001, we had the terrorist attacks. all these periods that I've lived through as a professional in this business, this has been the most negative period of time that I can recall, 2022. So I think there's a lot of reasons for that, mostly because everybody can be an expert and they know the more negative and the more fantastic they are in a negative sense, the more eyeballs they're going to get to watch their news or to listen to their news. So let me tell you some truth here, because this is an exciting moment in history and things are getting better, not worse. I just want to say that as a blanket statement. But I've got some statistics for you that I find interesting. The Fraser Institute, which you can look at online, they track literacy in the world and country by country, poverty levels in the world, country by country, average mortality in the world, country by country. And here's what some of their statistics tell us. Okay. In 1950, as free markets began their ascent after World War II, there were 2.52 billion people on this planet. Of that, 70% were living in poverty. The U.S. equivalent of $1.90 a day or less was their income. Now, today, the population has exploded, right? There's no longer 2.5 billion people on the planet. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet. You would think that exponentially those poverty figures would grow with the population, but that has not been the case. Let me read you this. If you believe that there's been an expansion of poverty, you misunderstand free market dynamism. By 2015, world population was 7.35 rather. Yet only 0.7 billion by the same standard that we quoted for World War II, just 10% were in poverty. From 75% to 10% since World War II. 1950 to 2016, illiteracy fell from 2/3 of the population to 15% of the population. Average lifespans increased from 48 years to 71 years. Progress was not caused by the passage of time, but rather by gains in free markets. The bad old days live on only in countries that rejected free markets and economically enslaved their people. Okay, we are living in a time where humans have more prosperity, less poverty, better health, and greater education than any time in human history, not by a little, but by a massive amount. That's the truth. I also want to mention to you that, being positive is something that takes effort. Being negative takes no effort. It's the course of least resistance. Being positive takes intention, right? We look for the positives. Being negative takes no intention. You can think of your mind like a fertile garden, and if you don't purposely plant things that you want to grow, weeds take over the garden. And that's just like your mind and stray thoughts and ennobling thoughts or disempowering thoughts. We have to decide what's the truth to us and not just be subject to all this noise out there that is not the truth, but sells based on the fear level that it provides us. Thoughts are things, and they do create reactions in our physiology, in our life experience. Now, if we think negative thoughts, more negative thoughts related to those negative thoughts come to us. Like seeks out like. In the book Think and Grow Rich that I read when I was 22 years old and I've read every year since, it was authored in 1937 by Napoleon Hill, West Virginia journalist. He says, our brains become magnetized by the dominating thoughts we hold in our minds, and by means which no man is familiar. These magnets attract to us the people, forces, and circumstances that harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. So if you don't want negativity to breed in your life, you have to be intentional. If you don't know sources that give you the truth instead of the slanted, pessimistic view, I'm offering myself. I'll be that voice for you. Things have never been as good as they are today. The world has never been in this condition. Less people starve to death than ever. Less people are illiterate than ever. The free market domain is massive compared to when I got in this business in 1990. The world has only changed in a positive way. Yeah, there are dislocations along the way, but the general movement of the earth is phenomenal. We should all be so grateful for what's happened and continues to happen. Okay, let's remember the statistics on recessions. We hear that word. Now it's not so much in the media anymore, right? It was like a total, everybody thought we were going to have a recession a year ago. Now we're talking about soft landing because we've had the Fed hike these 10 times and we haven't stalled out growth. So maybe there won't be a recession, or maybe it'll be mild and short and we won't even notice it economically. I don't know. All I know is that we have moved from a bear market to a bull market. I know that. And bull markets last 5 to 7 years, and that's when we make our money. So if we haven't awoke to that fact, it's time to awaken to that fact now, right? And embrace it to do us good. Okay, there's been 35 recessions since the Civil War. We've recovered 35 times. There's been 13 bear markets since World War II. We've recovered and went to a new high 13 times. It doesn't take a ton of faith if you will just look at the rationale of the numbers and the patterns. This thing works. If you're properly invested and you have a long-term perspective and you have your cash that's appropriate for your immediate needs, you don't have to worry about what anybody says today. This is a successful experiment, and it's going to go on and improve and just get better as time goes on. Anyway, I love you guys. And I feel bad when I have clients that come in with all of this heaviness because they've been listening to the wrong voices. Let's unburden ourselves from that. Let's seek out the truth, what good is happening in the world, right? The reasons we have to be optimistic. And let's continue to accomplish our goals and make our dreams come true and uplift people and be that light that people need, or a reflection of the light that we see in others. God bless you. I'll look forward to our next conversation.